Good evening, everybody. So, people who are joining online, can you hear me?
Yes, Professor, I can hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
So, yeah, I like more participants. So, that's good. About there are about 20 students here in face to face, and then let me see how many of you are to online. 21. Okay, so about 40, but still less than half, right? But there are more than hundreds students, I believe, in this course. Okay, I like everybody to join in my lecture and then to make this course interactive. So people who are joining online. So if there is no noise, background noise from your side, you can keep yourself unmuted and you can speak. But when you speak, please speak loudly so that I can hear you, okay? And at any point, if you have any question, so don't hesitate to stop me, okay? Or you see that my screen, there's a raise your hand button. You see that hand, you can click over here. Then I will see sometime, I will come here and then I will see if anyone has any question. So I will see. So, okay, so true. Okay, so that's good. So you see on our first year experience page on the left end, so you see that FYE feedback. Okay, so FYE feedback. So yeah, I like you. So please select here. So select CSE1322 and give some feedback. For instance, how do you like this course and how do you like, especially my teaching? And if you have any suggestion to make this course better, or to help you to understand this concept better, so please give me your suggestion. I would appreciate your suggestion, okay? But unless you tell me something to make it better, whatever I think better, I will go with that, okay? But if there is any new model of teaching that you like better, so please let us know, okay? And you can keep your response anonymous, or you can give your own line, like you can use your name and email address. I would not mind, okay? So instead of backbiting, you understand backbiting? So telling something bad in absence of me. Instead of backbiting, I like whatever is my lack or mistake, you tell me, frankly. Okay? So people who are joining online, has anyone any question or any suggestion to make this course better, and especially to encourage more people to join in? Okay? Because this is the only course you will learn object-oriented programming. There is no other course. Okay, there is no other course in College of Education. If you want to get your major in computer science or software engineering or IT, that will teach you object-oriented programming principle. This is the only course. And from next semester, I am switching to computer science department. So actually from next month, October. So from next semester, I will be teaching data structure course. One online, another face-to-face, and I will be teaching another course. One data structure and another one is, what is that called? Database. Maybe CS3305 data structure. One course, one section will be face-to-face, another section online, and database will be online. In your register portal, you search my name, then you will see that I will be teaching CS, but maybe this is the last semester. I will be teaching in first year experience CSE 13, 22, and 21. So, but still my videos will be online. So if you go to my YouTube channel, so you see that I have several, every semester and every lecture I give, I try to record it and I try to upload it in my YouTube channel. So one advantage of this is that you can revisit this lecture. Okay, and as I have told you earlier that I have thousands of complete program in my GitHub account and in my Replit account. Anytime you can visit my Replit account and GitHub account to get like complete program. Okay, so I was grading your test. I am shocked. I am shocked because many of you, only a few percent, maybe 20 to 25%, less than 30% of students were able to answer this question correctly. I discussed this question face to face, like lecture. Maybe at least 2 times I discussed, and I told you that there will be a question like this, okay? That, yeah, it was critical, I know that. We made it because this type question, that it is open. It is open secret that there will be a question like this. So I asked you to practice this and to try to understand what are going behind the scene, okay? So I believe who practice this program and who spend at least some time, few minutes to understand what are going inside, then they were able to this. Okay, but this is the semester I'm giving because I'm giving partial credit. Earlier we did not give partial credit because most of you did not able to do this. Okay. And this is only in C# because Java does not allow call by reference. Okay, so if needed, please revisit my lecture 1 on this. You may get this type of question in your final exam also. Okay. Okay, and then another thing that there was an extra credit question, right? For instance, if I to the main method, let us do that. So if I in my main method, if we print like 16 divided by 4 times 4, we put is equal, we put 16 divided by 4 times 4. Like we are asking whether this, what is the resultant value, that what is the result final output. I specifically asked it one word. Okay, so it is false. So because it's obvious, you see that there is no parenthesis over here and there is parenthesis here.
You know, it took me a second to even figure out what you were asking in the question. I was asking for one world.
Yeah, the question was worded a little bit vaguely, to be honest.
One word, because it's one word, right? The result will be true or false.
Did you read the question?
I mean, this is a programming test. It helps to be pretty, exact with your instructions.
Was there anything wrong in the question?
Yeah, did you read it?
No. What is wrong? Okay,
it wasn't really asking if the question was true or false. It was said in one world, whatever world means. I didn't know it meant word.
Yeah. Was the word word?
Some people might have been able to figure that out, but not everyone. That's the thing. And that might have contributed
to the word, W word. But you said there was mistake in typo word?
Yes. Yes.
Ah, sorry. But it's okay. Maybe there was a mistake, typo in my question. Okay, several people edited question, but nobody. Several professors look at, but nobody find that. Okay, but yes, so the result was some people said 1, some people said true, some people said most of them is said true, is false. Correct, okay. But only a few that they mistake. Okay, so in our last lecture, what did we do? We discussed interface, right? What is an interface? Let me do a quick review, then I will go to a new slide today. What is an interface? An interface is a contract. Actually, it's a contract, right? What does an interface do? an interface help us to inherit, to resolve the issue that the Java and C#, the modern programming languages, do not allow multiple inheritance. So interface,
Professor,
an interface, yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is it possible for you to take like 2 minutes and go over that question that you said 80% of the class missed
Whose question?
with the reference?
Okay, so when we publish our result by this week, maybe I can review it, okay?
All right.
Next class, remind me next lecture, because we're almost finished grading, but we are planning to complete our grading by this week. So by Friday, we are planning to publish our grade, and then you will see the result. Whenever you see that, you will.
I just figure
see
if you
your
said
result.
80% of the class missed it, you know, it would be helpful to 80% of the class.
Yeah, I will go. I will go through. So let us publish our result, our test result. Okay, then we'll go. I will go through, but let us publish our result. The question was same question. You see okay, one more thing, sir. If you go to my Replit account, you see my Replit account, these three questions, this and these three, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, the same questions was in different tests, but what I usually do, and you usually see that we give the same question, but we will change this value. Okay, sometimes we will change this value, so the result will be identical but different. So, but it should not be a problem as long as if you understand the concept, right? If you understand the concept that whatever value I give 21 or 31, that is not an issue, right? You can do the simple math calculation. So the same question for all three sections. There are three sections, but in section to section, I give these changes in this value. I randomly change this, okay? And sometimes I give like instead of plus plus, I give minus minus. What this is the postfix, I give prefix, and something other. So same question. So I like you will. So yeah, you can see my code over here, okay? And then try to practice. Okay, so an interface helps us to resolve the issue that limitation that Java and C# has that they do not allow multiple inheritance, right? So what we can do using an interface, we can implement or use multiple inheritances, something like this. Okay, so we in Java we use implements keyword, but in C# we use colon, right? Semicolon sign, right? But some people, you know, which we are grading this, right? Inheritance, inherits. Is inherit a keyword? Some people write inherits. Is inherit or inherits a keyword?
Just to be clear, if we use inherits or implements, we won't lose points for either, right?
Not too much, maybe out of like 21 points.
I want to make sure that I mean, I'm probably going to end up using implements, but in the event that I for some reason use inherits, I'm not going to lose points for using that keyword, am I?
You will not hold points. So yeah, so that means, so if you like inheritance, that means we assume that you did not practice programming. So in that point, you will lose actually 1 point or 2 points, not too much. Okay, so there are 35 points in one question, right? Another 25 points. Then you will lose 1 point or 2 points, not too many.
Cool.
Okay. Because our goal, we did not give you a hard time. Every professor will give us hard time. When I was a student, even if I take a course here, my professor will give hard time, right? The professor's goal is to give me hard time so that I can learn something, right? So I like everybody. So that means I'm giving you hard time to give like, that means that I do not like you, okay? That means I like you so that you become prepared. Okay. Okay, so that my opinion is that if you practice programming, then you will not write inheritance. What inheritance? Then you know that whenever if you practice one program, then you write inheritance, then you will see that there is an error, right? So then it's easy. Like for instance, okay, but in the test 2 and test 3, you will not be allowed to write pseudocode, because you may notice that writing pseudocode for even class implementation takes a long way, more writing. Okay, so then we discussed these programs, how to implement, and I gave you a homework, right, to practice this programming. How many of you had a chance to practice this inheritance program? Okay, my program is here. You see that if you go to my Replit account, and maybe are you to see that abstract class interface vehicle? For instance, if you search for interface, then there are program with interface. If you practice one program, there's enough to understand. Okay. What is that? In our last one of the lectures, I did, give me 1 second. I discussed something on again. So in our after we publish our result, we will go through, but maybe one thing. Common mistakes. So in our previous lecture, we are discussing common mistakes, right? So I discussed this as a common mistake in our previous lectures. So one of the things that we discussed, I added newly. Okay. Let us spend a few minutes, just a few minutes, to discuss that. If you can find any mistakes here. Okay, so this question, it asked you to define an interface shape with abstract method, calculate area, okay, and one additional interface. Actually this will be actual, it's sometimes called interface or is sometimes called property. Okay, so color with an abstract method, and with abstract method color area. So then define a class triangle that implements both interfaces. Okay, so there on addition there are two interfaces. Okay, one interface is called shape and another interface is called color. The shape interface has a method, is called calculate area, and the color interface has a method, it's called color area. Okay, so now you have to create a concrete class triangle that implements both interfaces, shape and color. Okay, and so this is the answer from students, anonymous. Can you find any problem here in this code?
It looks like a car crash.
What is that?
I said it looks like a car crash, sir.
There are no white spaces at all.
Okay, so do you see in the first line, do you see any mistake in the first line?
He's not defining it as an interface, the class as an interface.
Within this area, do you see any mistake?
It doesn't say class before interface.
No, before class, before interface, you cannot have class. We are doing another mistake.
Ah, yes.
Interface, public interface is good. So after that, do you see any mistake in the third word?
There are two mistakes.
Okay.
Shape should not have parentheses, and there shouldn't be public.
Okay.
In public void calculate area.
So in IDE to IDE, okay. So in IDE to IDE, if you use Eclipse, then it can be public. So we avoided this one, okay. But in Replit, it cannot be public, okay. So, but the mistake is here, right? You see, there is a parenthesis, right? After class name, so this is a method, right? So shape is a method. So whatever you see the parenthesis, that is a symbol of a method, right? A class cannot have a parenthesis, right? Okay, after that, do you see any mistake? So in this line, do you see any mistake? Same mistake in the color, right? So you see there is mistake here, right? Okay. Okay. After that, do you see any method, any mistakes in this line?
It's not. There's no semicolon after color area. The difference
This is
between-
a colon sign.
No,
Okay,
there's
they
a
put
semicolon.
colon. Yeah, when we graded,
Is that a
we avoid.
semicolon?
We did
Is
not
that a
consider that.
semicolon or is that?
Catch this. Okay, that's typing.
I can't barely see that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a semicolon from the looks of it.
Yeah, okay. Even I did not notice that this semicolon because we do not consider like this kind of error. We do not catch this kind of error while grading. Okay, these are forgiven. Okay, what do you see that? Is there any mistakes here? You see?
It says implements triangle. I mean, it's triangle implement shape. Is this Java or C sharp?
Yeah, Java. They wanted to write code in Java.
Is
This is
isn't it extend Java? Okay.
Yes, so we need to extend, right? In Java, we need to put extend. Okay. So triangle, right? Okay. So implements is fine. So in Java, it's to implement shape, and you see that the mistake is over here. Do we need two implements?
It can't do multi.
Only one implement.
No, you
right?
don't need. You need a comma, not a.
Yes, just comma, right? And the same mistake that they put color and then over here. Okay. And okay, so you see, so my opinion, so my guess is that this student did not practice programming. This student did have concept, superficial concept about interface, okay, but not clear in concept. He or she would have clear concept if he or she would practice. If anyone writes this code in any in any compiler, okay, ID, right? It will show an error message, a lot of error message. And that error message should be starting point, right? To fix. Whenever you can fix your errors, then you will be able to solve it. I'm telling you again that this is the only course you will learn object-oriented programming. And if you learn object-oriented programming concept clear, if you have a clear concept about object-oriented programming, then your study in computer science or software engineering will be easy. Because all other, this is the foundation of all other programming. So in future courses, you take data structure, you take algorithm class, you take software engineering course. No one will teach you object-oriented programming. This is the only one. So let us review. So this week, by tonight, we will wrap up object-oriented programming concept. Okay. So until module 3. Module 3 is object-oriented programming concept. So as we discussed, so we started from module 1 to module 3, only 3 modules. So object-oriented programming concept. So can anyone please recall what are the main pillars or principles of object-oriented programming? Okay, let's start from the beginning. Polymorphism is the last one. Okay. Polymorphism is the last one. Let's start from the beginning. What is the base of object-oriented programming? No, that is in the middle. The intent is in the middle. Okay. What is in the bottom? The encapsulation is in the middle somewhere. Okay. So if you say object-oriented programming, right? It's an object. Right? So what is an object? Abstraction in the middle. What is an object? Instead of class. So class is the foundation. So what is a class? Now, so far you understand what is a class? Yeah, I like it. What is a class? I'm sorry. At this point, we finish object-oriented programming. So, a class is a data type. One, right? We say int x, right? It is a data type, right? And we create student x, right? Dot d1. Dot is a type, student is a type. Customer c1. This is the type, custom data type. So,
Professor?
yes, and
Professor, we can barely hear you.
Professor, we can't hear you, mate.
Oh, you couldn't hear me?
Not at all.
Yeah, you were too far away, mate.
Oh,
I
sorry.
caught
I was
about every third word or so.
sorry. Okay, sorry. So a class is a custom data type or is a user-defined data type. You remember that when you declare a class, what did you do? We customize our data type, right? We created a new data type. We created a new data type using using existing data types, right? In a combination of other data types, like a student data type or a dog or a customer data type. The customer has an ID, a name, address, email address, date of birth, social security number. Each of these fields have different type of data. And we are creating a customer data type, a class named customer with the combination of this. Okay, so class is the foundation of object-oriented programming. So if we consider only one foundation of object-oriented programming, then this is class. Or some people say object, and the object and class are correlated. And then object, right? So what is an object? An object is an instant or an entity of a class. Whenever we say is our integer type, right? So this type is built in, then we call this a variable. But whenever this type is not a variable, is a class, then we say this is an object. A class, in other words, we say class is the blueprint of object. Okay. Whenever we say an object, that means you say the type will be a class, not a built-in data type. Okay, and what an object contains. So a class is a blueprint, and then object is an instance of a class that contains the real values. For instance, if we say student, right? In general, we understand that someone who study, right, who goes to school, right? As a student, we see that. But if I call you, say, please call a student for me, okay? What you will do? If I ask you, so please go outside and bring a student, what you will do? No, in general. So, for instance, we do not know anything about programming, object-oriented programming. But if I ask you, please go outside and bring a student, what you will do? And you will see, go outside and you will see that if that person, you will call a person, right? You will see a person. You will not catch that, you will not ask a cow or a goat, right? They are not students, right? You will say man, okay? Especially maybe young man or a young girl. So you will guess that he goes to school or she goes to school, and then you will call them, right? And when you bring that student has a name, right? The student has a name, okay? The student has a social security number, that has an age, is a gender, address. Those are the attributes of that class. So let me see if a student. Okay, so student class, I do have student class in Java and in C# and also in C++. So all of my programs I have in all three languages almost. So say I say class student. So I'm declaring a student. So then with an ID, a student has ID, right? A student has a name, a student has gender, a student has CGPA. Test. Okay, a student has other attributes, is current student or not. So our goal is that if you understand, these are the fields of a student, right? Attributes or characteristics of a student, right?
Bless you.
Every student has a name. Yes. Yes, go ahead, please. You have a question? Okay, so these are the attributes of a student. If we declare a student like this, right? For instance, then if we understand how to declare a class and create object with this field, then you can add more fields, right? A student has social security number, you can add social security number variable, right? A student has an address, you can add an address, right? So many fields, but if you understand, so whenever you say students, then this is the constructor. Okay, these are the getter method and setter method. We declare this, and these are the study method. Students usually study.
How about a drink?
Okay, a student enjoys and a student maybe work, and the string method. Why do you use string method? To represent object in string format. String method is not required to call, it is called automatically. So if you say that here, for instance, say int x equal to 5, right? That means x is an integer type variable. So type is built-in type, so then we say x is a variable. But if we say student, say if we say student S1 is equal to new student, then S1 is not a, we will not call S1 as a variable. Okay, we will call S1 as an object. Why is object? Because its type is not a built-in type. Type is a class type. You understand? Simple. Whenever the class is whenever the type is a class, then the instant is called object. If the type is built-in type, then instant is called variable. Right? Here x1 is called a variable, but s1, if you say s1 is a variable, that is kind of mistake. That means you do not understand object-oriented concept, because this s1 has a number of variables in it. Like when you make a curry or something, like if you cook some food, you mix some ingredients, right? With salt, rice, with beans, and then you give onions, pepper, and then maybe either sugar or salt, okay? And you cook something, then you taste it, eat it, right? And then if something is, you have less amount of salt, you realize that the salt, you need to add more salt, right? You realize there's something wrong, right? When you cook, right? Everybody knows how to cook. But when you cook something, is it possible to separate all the ingredients? No, right?
Depends on what you're cooking.
Yes, depends on the cooking. So William has a good question. But so in a class, we say in a class, this student, what are the attributes of this student? Ingredient of this student: ID, name, gender, CGPA, is current, okay, and then other. These are the variables. Okay, a class contains some variables and some methods, some functions that are called methods. Why these methods are used? These methods are used in order to access those variables. Okay, here the constructor, right? A method, constructor is a method that has exactly same name of its class name. A constructor is used to create or instantiate an object. Whenever you say Mike, so that Mike is a student, and then you are giving his ID equal to 1. So if you hold over your mouse over here, it will show you what is this value. So you see the first value is for ID, and second value is for name, and third value is for gender, fourth value is for CGPA, and then last value is for Boolean type is current. So whenever you declare or you create one object, like Mike is a student over here, I could give any name. So then we have to assign this value. So that means Mike's ID equal to 1, Mike's name equal to this one, Mike's gender equal to like this. So then we say, how do we do that? We use dot operator, right? We use object and dot operator in order to access those fields, either variable or methods. So classes and objects are the main foundation. So sometimes people say one, these are the number one principles or base of object-oriented programming. Then what? Then call inheritance. So inheritance, okay? Inheritance is the middle. Through inheritance, we can extend one class in another class, right? Or we can inherit properties, we can reuse some existing classes in another class. Okay. And whenever we learn this class, sometime in a class we make some properties private, right? What is the reason that we make them private? In order to hide them from outside world, right? In order to secure them, so that nobody can access, no unauthorized people. Unauthorized people, that means unauthorized another program. Okay. Okay, can access this. So for instance, how to access this? For instance, our social security number, right? We keep it hide, but sometime at some point we need to explore that, right? Remember that when you came to this university and when in order to get your admission, you had to show your social security number, right? To the admission officer, right? And he or she was a trusted person, right? And you remember that, you knew that that person is a trusted person. So this is why you gave him or her your ID and your social security number, right? Otherwise, you would not explore your social security number publicly, right? So in programming, we use getter methods and setter methods in order to do that, right? So in an object-oriented programming, data and methods are integrated in a single unit. That is called encapsulation. Okay, encapsulation, that it comes from the word capsule, right? In capsule, the ingredients are kept within a plastic wrapper, right? So here what we are doing, but we are, so S1, whenever we say S1, you see that we type in S1, and then we say S1 dot, whenever we type in dot, it came up the accessible elements, right? We know that, right? So use dot operator to access the accessible elements, right? And but some elements, some properties are not accessible using dot operator, right? So those, for instance, here in this case, so CGPA is private, right? So we cannot use write S1 dot CGPA. We cannot write that S1 dot. You see, CGPA is not coming here. So, but we declare a method that is called get CGPA. Use getter method or set CGPA. We use set CGPA somewhere, set CGPA in order to set the value. Okay, that is a trusted way to access private variables. Okay, that is called data hiding. Okay, that is called data hiding. So some data, for instance, the CGPA are kept hidden from outside. Okay, that is the concept data hiding. Okay, and then we learned class, object, inheritance, and data hiding, encapsulation, right? Then what is next? Abstraction, right? Abstract class. Okay, sometime a class is defined or declared without telling in detail. Without telling in detail that what the class will do, we do not tell that in detail in the class, but where do we say in detail? We say we put the in detail in our concrete class. So some parent class are just put as abstract. That means not in detail. So for instance, we discussed in our last lecture that, for instance, a man ran, and a wolf ran, right? So for instance, for instance, not in this course, actually not in interface, in the abstract class we discussed, right? So in the abstract class, what we do, so abstract class. So abstract class, so we say vehicle is an abstract class. And so this, I know that all classes inherits object class, right? And iClonable is a built-in interface. Okay, this is by default. Even if you do not know this, write this. This is correct. So a class can inherit only one class. Okay, but it can have multiple interfaces. This is an interface. Okay, so this method is engine type. Here is an abstract, right? So what is this? So whenever we say an abstract, that means this vehicle class is not telling in detail about a vehicle's engine. Because we know that there are many vehicles, right? There are some vehicles without an engine. Pushing cart is also a vehicle, right? But that does not have an engine, right? But if we say motor car, or a car, or a train, or a plane, right? Or a bus, or a truck, these vehicles have engines, right? But engines are different. Engine types are different, right? A private car has a different engine than a truck has an engine. But in general, we say engine. But engine type are different, right? So here the class vehicle is going to be, we declared as an abstract, so that we don't need to tell the engine type, what will be the engine type of a vehicle. So we can say that in order to be a vehicle, it must have an engine. And it must declare an engine type. Okay, so the matter, it's not a matter for the vehicle what the engine type will be, but it is a restriction. In order to be a vehicle, it must have an engine. And so it is headache for the concrete class that will inherit this class. So it must tell the engine type. What will be the engine type? It must declare the engine type. It must tell in detail about the engine type. It must tell the engine type. So for now, that is said that we keep it empty. So if you understand with empty, later in your programming life, in your career, so sometime you will see that this method will be implemented maybe in one line, or maybe 1,000 lines. So when you get interview, they will ask just whether you understand this concept or not. So they will believe that if you understand this concept, then you will be able to expand this method, write code in this method, whatever needed. Right? So in an interview, you will not be asked to write in detailed code here in this method. So they will ask you to see that whether you understand that if a class is an abstract class, it should have an abstract method, and if a method is abstract, it cannot have a body. In our test, we will test like this. I'm telling you again that, and if a class in abstract class, it cannot have a body. So even this is an empty body. Okay, this program will not run. And I'm telling you again, but still, I do not expect, but I guess some student will do this kind of mistake. In test, because I have experience, at least 25% student, they declare an abstract class, but they write code like this, Okay, and we will not give them point here in this case, because if you write this, that means we guess that you did not understand the concept of abstract class. You understand? If you understand the concept of abstract class, you will never give this implementation. And if you practice programming, then you will not do this. You should not do this mistake. Okay, so that program is running, right? Okay. And what is a limitation of an abstract class? An abstract class cannot be instantiated. You cannot create an abstract class, an instance of an abstract class, an object of an instance class, because this line, so if you try to say vehicle v1 equal to new vehicle, so if you want to try this code, it will give you an error. I'm sorry, I'm getting slow because I connected as guest. It should be KSU. I'm getting. Okay. So what is the reason over here that it will not run compile this one? Because we cannot instantiate a vehicle. A vehicle is an abstract class here, right? The vehicle is an abstract class over here. It cannot be, in order to, because if we say vehicle, so one thing is that a class, whenever say class is invisible. Okay, a class is just a concept. Sometimes people say blueprint of an object, a blueprint of some objects. Okay, so whenever we say student, right, in general common noun, right? So whenever you say, we bring a student, that will be Sam or Michael or someone, right? A specific name. So an object is visible, or touchable, or noticeable. Still, there are some objects that are not visible but have power. For instance, Wi-Fi connection, right? It is not visible, but Wi-Fi connection, air, like oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, those are not, those are valuable objects, but not visible, right? So sometimes a class is called a blueprint. Okay. For instance, whenever we say vehicle, so a vehicle is a concept, right? A vehicle is a concept, right? And if we say, oh, I have a vehicle, that means what you will understand? You will understand maybe professor has a car or a truck or a van, right? Don't guess that I have a helicopter or I have a train, right? Also, train is a vehicle. Okay. So, so now we understand the concept of class and object clearly, and inheritance and abstraction. Okay, and abstraction and interface. Okay, so interface helps us to resolve the limitation that there are some languages do not allow multiple inheritance, to having multiple parents. Those are used by, resolved by, okay, okay. So this program has person class, has interface, okay, and also abstract class. So if you practice this program, only on this program, then you should be able to understand the concept of abstract class and interface. Okay, and as I told you in my previous lecture, so if I would interview someone, when I interview someone, and if someone asks me to select a best candidate or better candidate in who knows object-oriented programming, maybe I can select in 5 minutes, in 10, 15 minutes. Okay, just I would ask him this question: I would ask him there's some difference between abstract class and interface. So method overriding and method overloading. Okay, polymorphism that is called. I'm discussing that in detail, and then I would ask the first question that what is a class? Okay, if someone cannot give me a definition of a class, I would say no, he does not know. He does not have object-oriented programming concept clearly. Then I would ask, what is getter method? What is setter method? What is a constructor? What is an overloaded constructor? Okay. So, and then especially if I would ask you to ask only one question to test you, I would give only this question. So this question, only this question. Because if you understand this question, then it is assumed that you know 75% of object-oriented programming principles. This question has, so let us review again. So what this question says, using the previous person class was an abstract class. So here this person class is an abstract class person. We need, that's it, okay? We need that one. And this abstract class has some concrete class. Teacher is a concrete class, okay? So then we have abstract class, this abstract class, this is a concrete class. IMammal is an interface. IMammal is an interface, okay? And human is a concrete class.
Professor, I have a quick question.
Yeah, please speak out loudly. I cannot.
I said I have a quick question, Professor.
Yes.
Right. You said earlier that there's an echo. One second. Okay. You said earlier that you would ask one question of someone if you're interviewing them. Would you ask them what pen is?
What is that? What is that?
I said, would you ask them what a pen is, sir?
Yep, a pen.
Also, yeah, there seems to be an echo. Never mind.
What is a pen? P-E-N, right? Is it pen?
A pen. Yes, A-P-E-N, sir. Yes.
In what perspective I will ask this question? In object-oriented perspective?
I suppose in any context, but yes, object-oriented would work too.
Yeah, on object-oriented principle, what is a pen? Pen is a name, is a common name, right? Is a class.
Of course.
Right? And then if I ask you, bring me a pen, what you will do? You will bring an instance of a pen, right? There are millions of pens in this world, right? There are thousands kinds of pen in this world, but you cannot bring all of them, right? You will bring specific of them or some of them. Then those are the instances, those are the objects. Like if you say blue pen, red pen, black pen, okay, those are the instance. If you say this is a pen, if you claim me that this is a pen, then they are an object. So, are you happy with this answer? Did you understand that?
Yeah, pen. Yes, pen. Pen is pen.
Cleared up a lot for me, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so whatever you say that a class is not visible. So whenever you say that something is a concept or a blueprint, right? Whenever someone tells you, ask a pen from you, what you will do, right? You will give him a pen, right? You will not give him a pencil. If you give him a pencil, then he will say, no, I asked you a pen, right? So that means there are some difference between a pen and a pencil. Everybody understand, even a little baby understand, right?
But a
Okay.
pen is a pen and a pencil is a pen.
So if I say, so if I say, for instance, if I have a class, like instance this one, class pen, okay, I have some properties of this pen, okay. Okay, then in my main method, if I say pen p1 equal to new pen, pen. So this is pen is a class. This is a constructor. Okay, this is the constructor. Pen constructor, and this is pen object. Okay, the new is a new operator, right? And this is the pen class. This is pen class. What type? This is we say type.
How would you do a pen interface?
Sorry?
How would you do a pen interface? I'm curious.
No, you can write an interface as you need it, as needed. Whenever you type in an interface, so how do we declare an interface? So this is just instance interface pen. So I can say a pen interface like this, interface pen. And what are the pen? When you say pen, right, it should have some properties, right? What are the properties of a pen? So then you will put those properties here within this guy.
Its length and what color ink it has.
Yes, the ink color. Okay, but an interface and a class has a difference, some difference, right? In an interface, you cannot say string color. You cannot say string color in all languages. So in an interface, you have to give a specific color. You cannot say you have to give say color red. You have to give fixed name for an interface. If it is a class, then you could say pen only color, because whenever you create an instance, at that time you would give the color. Okay, then it has a value, right? A pen has some value, right? Okay, then you can say, for instance, a pen. What are the functionality of a pen? What does a pen do? It writes something, right? So then you can say void.
Wouldn't you need to make a function to click the pen as well, sir?
Sorry?
Wouldn't you need to make a function to click the pen as well? I believe most pens, they can.
Not all pens are clickable.
Okay, so this is why you can say Boolean clickable, and then second, is this clickable or if say clickable, then say clickable equal to true, right? Is clickable true?
Fair
So
point,
this
fair point.
here, bool is clickable instantly, for instance, say false. So false. Initially you are giving false, then later maybe you can change it if you're yeah. So let us discuss with class, because if you do not understand class, then you will not understand interface. So interface is class is the concept name, class pen. Okay, so then if you say class pen, then you can have this default value, fixed value. That means you are making pen for all pen, red pen that are red. You are defining the color, predefined color red, right? So if that means if I ask you, bring me a red pen, then can you bring a black pen? No, I asked you to bring a red pen. But if you do not say, and if I say, so true, right? So log is true. So if I ask you, bring a clickable pen, okay, then you must have this is true, right? But if I ask you, ask you a non-clickable pen, then what you will do? You will put false. But if I say clickable, that means you can bring either clickable or not clickable. Right? I'm not fixing over here. So then every object in this world has some properties and have some functionalities, right? What does a pen do usually? Why do we use a pen? To write, right? So if we have a pen, if it does not write, it is not writable, right? How long we will carry it? Maybe for not long
particularly
time.
long.
Yeah, maybe we will, if someone is a gift from someone, my beloved one, maybe I will carry it for some time, right? But for not lifelong. If that pen is not useful, right? Sometime I will throw it out, or maybe I will leave it somewhere, right? So that means a pen writes something, right? So then we can say a pen, this method, it depends on the necessity, how you will declare this method. This method, it cannot have a return type. That means return type can be void, return type can be any type. That depends on the situation. Okay. So that depends on situation. That means that depends on the problem in your hand. You understand?
Crystal,
Okay, thank you. Anyone has any question?
No.
would it be possible to make some child classes on like different types of pens, like regular pens, fountain pens,
Yes.
and all that?
Yes, why not? Yes, why not? There we say class. So red pen colon. This is in C#. So we use colon, okay? Pen. That means red pen is a pen. Is inheriting pen properties, right? So then we have, so we will put specific characteristics or features of red pen, of a new pen. So all red, in that case, all red pen will be a pen, but not all pen will be a red pen, right? You may have another class, like for instance, class black pen. Okay, and then inherits pen. Okay. Okay, and you can have another class. So you can say multiple classes. You can say class, okay, golden red pen. Okay, golden red pen, and you can say red pen. You can inherit red pen, right? That means here in this case, pen is the grandparent, and red pen is the parent, and golden red pen is the grandchild. Okay. So hierarchy will be, in this case, the class hierarchy will be like this. So you will have your pen class, then it will be red pen. So you see that, so whenever you put something within and this is class, symbol of a class. So in a lab, you are learning UML, right? UML is used to draw a class. So you say, so then if you say this one, arrows goes from bottom to up, okay, inheritance. You say golden, red pen.
Professor, I had just one last question.
Yes.
Would it be an appropriate use of polymorphism to create another class titled empty pen? Then once the I guess ink variable in one of the pen classes reaches 0, to change that pen class into an empty pen class?
Okay, that's the last thing I wanted to plan to discuss polymorphism. In a minute, I am discussing. Give me 1 minute, please.
Okay.
So you understand this, right? So here, so pen, all pens are not red pen, right? There may have another pen class. So there may have another pen class. Okay, another pen class, the black pen. Black pen. So you see that all pens are not red, all pens are not black, right? But all black pens are pen, right? All pens, red pens are pens, right? All golden red pens are pen, right? So this is the class hierarchy. So as long as you go bottom, you will get more specific type, more specific, right? Maybe you can say you can have, so by going this way down child class, you may have only one instance in this world. So for instance, you ask that the president, like Thomas Jefferson, used which pen? Like you concise. At some point, you can say that owner is president, was the president Thomas Jefferson, right? Okay, and then you may say the another properties that was used 1767. Then maybe you can get only one specific instance of this pen, right? So as long as
Thomas
you go
Jefferson wasn't president in 1967.
yeah, 1967. So as long as you go down in the hierarchy, you are getting more concise class and more less number of objects, right? But as long as you go up, okay, as long as you go up, they are getting more broader and more number of instances, right? So the next thing is polymorphism. Poly means many. Poly means many, okay? So polymorphism. Next thing we want to discuss. So polymorphism. I'm sorry. So then polymorphism. Okay, poly means many, and morphism. I'm sorry.
Poly means many and morph means change. That's the basic of it.
Okay, polymorphism. Okay, morphi is many form F-O-R-M. I'm sorry, F-O-R-M. So many forms. Whenever an object or properties or something plays many forms in different situations, that is called polymorphism, right? So I'm here, I'm playing as a role as a student, right? Sorry, as a teacher, right? Here I'm playing, but somewhere I'm a student, right? If I go to another class as a student with my professor, when I go to my professor, then I'm a student, right? And you are here as a student, right? But someone, if you do teach in another place, or if you do a tutoring, then in that case you are a teacher, right? The same person behave differently. So whenever I am a teacher here, I'm playing my role in one way, right? I'm dictating you, for instance, as a dictator, right? But whenever I am a student to my professor, I will be very gentle, right? Okay. So that means as a single person, I am a single person, but I do have different forms or different attributes or different behavior in different places, right? So that is the concept of polymorphism. As we know that whenever, for instance, in this class, let us consider this class. So this class, we are talking about person class, okay? So I like to delete this if someone gets caught from here. So not this one, from where is the vehicle class. So vehicle class, so you see that this is the starting point, line number 3. What is the ending point? So okay, so vehicle class, so maybe so you say let's say public. Let us add another method. Public void run. Okay. So this run method is not abstract here. So run method. Okay. So you say that do all vehicles run in the same way? No, right? Some vehicles fly like an airplane, right? Some vehicles roll. Some vehicles like go fast. Some vehicles go slow, right? So the run method will be different in different subclasses, right? So that means run methods implementation will be different in different classes. So that is called the same. Whenever you see that two things, polymorphism is implemented in 2A. It is called method overloading and method overriding. Method overloading, that means whenever a method overloading happens within same class. Whenever every methods has exactly same name but different parameter types, different number or types of parameter. That is called method overloading. Method overloading happens within a class. But method overriding in this class, since different vehicles run in different ways, so these will be implemented differently. So a car runs in a way that is different than a truck runs or an airplane runs, right? So the implementation, running implementation will be different, right? So that case, if the method's signature is same, exactly same, but implementation is different, so especially in the parent class and child class, okay, then that is called method overriding. Okay, so for instance, the toString method, we give a concrete example of a toString method. It is overriding. So method overriding happens within parent and child classes. Okay, but if all vehicles run in the same way, then we do not need to create a method for that. Maybe there are some properties of all vehicles that are same, then we don't need to create any methods for that. So now you understand? Okay, sorry, I just reviewed. Today I could not go to our new slide today. But in our next lecture, hopefully I will go with new slides, okay? That I will, don't mind, I'm behind. So the slides we do have. Now, next lecture we'll discuss, okay, so quickly we'll cover like this. Is there anything? I think I discuss all of these interfaces, okay? Okay. Maybe typecasting. Oh, I have this one left. So in our next lecture we will discuss typecasting, putting all together, okay? It says inheritance, abstraction, everything together. Maybe actually I discussed this in today's lecture, okay? This is the thing, okay? So then I will so only a few slides. I will discuss this, okay? If you understand these slides, module 3 part 3, then you will know everything about this related problem, okay? This is the slide, then if you understand this, it has everything. Actually, I discussed this, but I did not open the slide, but I discussed this, right? Okay, but in our next lecture, I will go through this quickly, okay? So anyone has any question?
No, sir, no questions.
Okay, thank you.
No, sir.
So, yes, I like
Yeah.
you, so
I think you covered the pen well.
sorry. Will you have a question?
No, I was saying you covered the pen very well.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you for that. You
So,
answered all
so
my
if
questions.
please give me a feedback, okay? So if you please, so if you give me a positive feedback, definitely I will be encouraged as a human person, right? Everybody wants to, whenever I'm doing hard job, definitely I'm trying best. If you say me something positive that you like my teaching, then definitely I will be encouraged. And if you have some suggestion, tell me your suggestion. I would like to make this course better. Okay, so please give us some feedback. Okay. Thank you so much, and you have a good night.
Bye, Professor.
Bye bye.
Thank
The
you,
same goes
Professor.
to
Good
you.
night.